Hello and welcome to Show Up, Stand Out Online Visibility Expert Series for Entrepreneurs. My name is Juliet Stapleton and I'm a visibility strategist. And today I am so excited because my guest is a wonderful Kaye Putnam, a psychology-driven brand strategist. Hi, Kaye.
Hello, Juliet. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to have this chat.
I am so excited, all the way from Naples, Italy, guys. It's absolutely, I'm in Ireland, Kaye is in Naples. I love this global community and we can just connect at a click of a button, which is brilliant.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I know, I work with clients in Croatia, in the Czech Republic, in the United States, as far as Hawaii. It's so cool that the internet is so magical.
I absolutely love it. So we're here to talk about a lot of magical things, aren't we? We both of us are a little bit magicians in what we do, aren't we? And we're just going to tell you what exactly we mean by that. By the way, I've just created like more magic at the back of me to straighten it. But before we go into this, before we reveal what we're on about, these two blonde women, we're not having a blonde moment at all. We are preparing you for something beautiful. I want to ask you, Kaye worked with hundreds of businesses, from global brands to solopreneurs, and she's created something she calls the Clarity Code. So I am very interested to get your definition of the Clarity Code.
Yeah, so I started out in business working with pretty much any entrepreneur that was really jiving and interested in the psychology-driven aspect that I teach and that I share with people. In the last couple of months, so in 2018, I've transitioned for my one-on-one services to really focus on the entrepreneur who's been in business for a couple of years. They're making some sales, but they've accumulated like this mass of business junk, like this brand closet that's like stuffed full of a landing page from 2013, colors on this PDF and on that PDF, and helping them streamline to figure out what the best and most powerful message is, and getting crystal clear so that both them as a founder or CEO and their team can be the brand to the best ability of all of them. So getting the brand out of the CEO's brain so other people can help them grow it.
You know, a question that I sometimes face with my clients is some people are not visual and they don't understand. Why do you need to unify the colors? Why do you need to present yourself sort of in the same way? What would I say to them? What would you say to them?
So in psychology, there is I'm blanking on the name at the moment, but there is a theory, there's a proven law, if you will, in psychology, that the more often you see something or someone, the more that you like them. So when you're consistent in terms of the way that you look, instead of having to start a new relationship every time you come into contact with somebody, you're adding on layers to that relationship. Somebody recognizes who you are, what you stand for, not only the first time that they see you, but every time after that. They're adding to those new associations to that existing conception of who you are. So the more often you show up with that consistency, that cohesiveness, the more people are actually psychologically going to like you, almost like just naturally, no matter who you are, what you're selling. So it behooves you, it makes sense to tap into that psychological rule. And then on top of that, of course, we're going to make our products and services amazing and irresistible. But just showing up consistently does part of the work for us.
Absolutely. It's sort of like, in a way, it's the way we are. So, for example, if we have, blonde hair or, so everybody says, oh, that blonde woman or that blonde girl. And, we have this attribute that people do remember us. Obviously, we change some things, but it is important because when you get, like, I know, Kaye, if I see some sort of like a document or colors, and if it's yours, I know it I don't even have to think twice. I know it's yours because it's so distinctively, clean, and you have this this beautiful logo and lovely kind of fonts. I'm a big font person, so I would be watching movies, and before they even start, I'd be like, that's a nice display font over there. So your website for me, when I first discovered you, actually I discovered it by taking a brand archetype quiz, which we will talk a little bit later. I was in heaven from how strongly and how everything is in tune. Now, I myself have a very flexible personality. I constantly transform. It's probably because I am a magician who is just, I'm reinventing myself. So, and I'll change things sometimes drastically, but I do know as well, as you grow your business, and my online business is only 12 months old, it's very, very young in terms of, my offline business I haven't changed for years. But it's good to change and to find it. But how do you actually, would you say, to me, the more I learn, the more I get to know myself, the more clear it becomes what I need to do.
I think that experience that you're going through where you're trying on lots of different identities or just different looks and feels is super common, especially when you're starting out. And I would even encourage it because that is, similar to being a teenager, and forgive the analogy, but similar to being a teenager in high school where you're like trying on all these different identities and different groups of friends and different extracurricular activities. As an entrepreneur, you're going to go through that same process. You have to figure out who you are. So there is step one of just getting into action that I always recommend to people. And then step two is when you're trying to nail down those colors and fonts and all of those, always start with the psychology. Figure out how you want to make people feel, how you best show up, like what your strengths are, and how you want to communicate through the colors and fonts. Because instead of having an infinite number of colors and fonts, you now have a smaller set that you can choose that's going to be super in line with your branded business. I did a bunch of changes in the beginning, just like you. I still use yellow as an accent, but that was my primary brand color for like a solid year. Now I look back and it's like a little bit cringeworthy because I don't.
We're always too hard on ourselves.
Yeah. But that's going to happen, and you just have to give yourself a little bit of grace to figure that out. But especially when you're in that place where you are now and you have worked with enough clients where you have a sense about them and you know yourself, that's when it's time to make some more concrete decisions that you're going to stick with longer. And then just the beauty of colors and fonts is they're all communicating for us. So it's another one of those touch points or another one of those attributes that are communicating on behalf of our brand. So my fonts say a specific thing, and I chose them to say that to people. And it's similar to selecting a movie on Netflix. You can almost tell what a Netflix show is about before you even click on it, just from the fonts and the colors.
I agree with that. It's a good observation, and I agree with that. I think I judge them before I even watch them, just from the way, the fonts. We just mentioned the fonts. We're a bit obsessed. Now, not everybody, I know that it can be actually super confusing when you say to somebody, you need to choose the colors that speak through, and they're like, whoa, I don't know what you're talking about, and that just stops them. So UK created something that simplifies the whole thing for people, and I actually have used it with, I think, every one of my clients as well. I sent them to take it. I'm talking about the brand archetype quiz. So before we go into the quiz, and we're gonna this video has a description, has a link in the description, so you can go and take it after, in 10 minutes time. But before we go there, let Kaye tell you what these brand archetypes are and how can this help you.
So brand archetypes are these timeless patterns. Our brain identifies patterns naturally. So we see the same things occur in stories, in movies, in other brands, in people. And there are really an infinite number of archetypes, but for it to be a useful tool for us, I'm using the 12 that were defined by Carol S. Pearson and Margaret Mark in their book in my archetype quiz. And this was the tool that when I was in that awkward puberty stage of my business where I didn't know what my strengths were. I'm a mom, I'm a washed up high school athlete. Some parts of me are, the explorer. There's all different parts of me that I didn't know how to actually choose what to bring forward in my brand. And I discovered the brand archetypes, and it was major, light bulb epiphany moments. And I've been obsessed with them ever since. So there's these 12 different patterns that show up that relate to not only your visual choices, but what the motivations of your brand are, or like the reason why people are drawn to your brand. It gives insights into that. Even down to the specific words that are going to really resonate and bring forward your personality. So it's a great tool to help understand your own brand. You're probably overlooking some of your best talents just because you've lived with them for your entire life. And then it's also just good for focusing down all those decisions, because there's too many decisions. It's overwhelming. So it helps give clarity to your brand in that way.
This is fun. Actually, I was just like you when I've discovered archetypes, and it was just recently. It was maybe 2 months ago, and a mutual friend of us, Kaye Putnam, posted about the archetypes, and that was Carol Pearson's test. So I went in and I did that, and I am into personality tests anyway. I do like knowing myself, but that was so beautifully clear, and I actually scored equally on 3 archetypes. So I had to choose. I had a pleasure to choose because it was the top marks. But one thing that I've seen and what I felt inside me, because not all archetypes are always active in your life. Sometimes you might be living through one archetype more than another, And the funny thing for me, the archetype I resonate with is the magician one, and I thought like somebody said to me, Juliette, you can be yourself. You can actually be yourself. Those dreams you had when you had a magic wand, or you had this ring you can spin around and all your dreams come true. That's just happened. You have it. And I felt so empowered. And from that moment on, I feel every day, I actually feel empowered. And now that I bring it into, I send my clients to do this quiz and take the test. And then we look at what they are. And now they're coming back to me and they're saying, you know what I want in my logo? I'm a hero. I want this. This represents hero. And I feel so good because it gives them as well that level of empowerment and owning their brand and really, really, saying, yes, this is me. 100. So you're not pretending. So you're not feeling like you are an imposter, or this is authentic. This is absolutely you. I found that it was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kaye. Every day I say thank you to you. I just want to. So guys, after this is finished, which we're not going to go for too long, you can go and take that test. It takes about 5 minutes, doesn't it? It's a very quick one.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
There's a beautiful, you need to submit your email there. There's a beautiful PDF you can get from Kaye that gives you the words, gives you the colors, gives you what your brand is about. And that's before even, she has a lot of free information on the website as well. So go and have a look at it after we're finished. I want to switch this a little bit into the actual visibility. For you, and you have to be, obviously, you're almost a digital nomad, aren't you? Because your husband is moving around with his job, so you have your business in a laptop, more or less. So how did you build your visibility initially? What are the strategies that worked for you?
I have actually a quote graphic that says, leadership requires visibility. And it's a reminder for myself because it's not something that I'm naturally good at. I'm not the type of person that wants to share everything on social media, so it's been more of a challenge for me than I perceive it to be for other people. I mean, they might be challenged by it too, but they're better at overcoming that challenge, I think. So a couple things that made getting more visible for me is, this might be trite advice, but let me just say it. First of all, I've given myself permission not to be everywhere, and that's been a huge weight off of my shoulders. I only do Instagram because I personally like it. It doesn't actually get me a lot of business results. When it comes to my business, it's only Pinterest and Facebook for me. I don't focus on LinkedIn. I don't focus on Twitter. I just let that go so that I don't have to burden my brain with it. And then the other piece has been figuring out what I want to say in advance. So figuring out what is core and true to my brand that I want to get across to people. And the way that I do this is I have an exercise called the I believe exercise, which is almost exactly what it sounds like. So you write I believe down a sheet of paper 25 times or 30 times, and you just finish that sentence with whatever is true and honest and authentic to you. And that's a great source of posts for social media and for your email list or your blog, because those are the things that are naturally going to draw in the people that love and adore you. and then repel the people who would have been a pain in the butt to work with.
That's true, because it all resonates. You know, a lot of people, especially the startups, they're always confused about this thing. How do you talk to that one person, or how do you talk to that? You want to talk almost to yourself. You want to be in love with every client that you have, because bad clients are the ones that cause the most stress. I keep repeating that, and I've made, you know, when you choose, when you're not choosy in business and you just work for just for the sake of making a sale, you're really trapping yourself in a long-term stress situation all the time. Right, okay, but okay, I am now blanking. So oh yes, this is the question I wanted to ask you. For you, would you say for you writing or going on video is a more pleasurable? Not maybe natural. I'm not going to talk about that, because we sometimes have to force ourselves even when we come across very natural, you know. But what do you enjoy doing more?
Oh my gosh. If you'd have asked me that same question 6 months ago, I would have said hands down writing, because I get to sit down, I can formulate my thoughts, I get to think about it. But with the more practice that I get on video, doing things like this, especially when I'm having a conversation with somebody, is so enjoyable. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to scale your relationship building. So just by putting a video out there, people get a sense of who I am, what I stand for, how I work with people. And I don't necessarily have to have that one-on-one conversation with each of those people that watch the video. They get to know me through that medium. I don't think that there's any other medium that gives you that same intimacy that video does. So I'm like all in with video this year.
That is so true, guys. If you're only just starting and you maybe have some reservations or you feel awkward on live video, first of all, it's practice, as Kaye just said. It's all practice. You get used to it. It's not that you get, you know, less kind of, you're still lazy maybe, or sometimes you don't feel good, but just do everything that, you know, you make you look good, make you feel good, and then go for it. But yes, the conversations like these are much easier to conduct. They're a great place to start your visibility as well. And then, you know, as you do this, then you can start sharing stuff. I am so used to now talking to the webcam. You know, my husband is jealous because he thinks this is my world. But, you know, this is something that it's interesting. I have a couple of questions for you as well. Oh, yes. How would you recommend for somebody to get visible fast? Would you have any interesting strategies that you would recommend your own clients? What is the fastest? I know, guys, listen, fast in visibility, it's not overnight. It's not over 2 weeks. It's not over, you know, it's a marathon, and you have to keep that in mind. But some strategies work better than others. So I'm just trying to see what Kaye might recommend.
I have been a huge fan of paying to accelerate my growth. So I pay to run ads for sometimes something as simple as like just a get to know me video like this. I will pay to boost that audience so that more people can come into contact with it. So that's been my main strategy. I have never been shy about investing in paid traffic. I don't think that makes your brand less than. It just gives you the chance to impact more people, which gets me excited.
And how targeted do you go in your ads in that respect?
Oh gosh, it's been a evolving process. Right now, my biggest focus, so the hardest thing is when you're first getting started and you don't have your own audience. Yeah. But right now, almost all of my ad spend goes to my larger audience. So they may not be on my email list yet, but they've visited my website, or they've interacted with one of my Facebook posts, or they've interacted with me on Instagram. So they've had at least one touch point with me, and then I'm just deepening that relationship by boosting content to them. So that's what I'm targeting most of the time these days.
Perfect. And what is your stand on going and giving value in other people's groups? Do you know that strategy? How do you feel about that?
So I am a huge fan of whenever you can get in front of other people's audiences, because you get access to a whole group of people who you don't have access to already. It's generally not a paid technique, so you can do it organically before you have a big budget, which is fantastic. And then you get the benefit of being introduced, hopefully. So like how you introduced me in the beginning of the show, even just having somebody else explain what you do or explain their experiences with your brand, that adds another extra level of credibility that you don't get when you're just introducing yourself. So I spend most of my time in my own group nurturing that community, but whenever I get invitations for podcasts or video interviews, I almost always say yes, because it's always a high leverage activity.
I like what you just stressed there, that when somebody introduces you, it's not that you introduce yourself. I, for a very long time, had a huge issue with people posting value posts in other people's groups, because for me, it's saying, you're just, you're self-promoting. However, I've actually that was a mindset issue that I have personally overcome, because it depends on what you're posting. And when you're posting something that can truly inspire somebody else, that's a different story, and it doesn't have to be at all connected to you or, any call to action. And yet you're still positioning yourself in front of other people, and you're still, by inspiring them, you're impressing them so they can find out more. Okay, guys, back to brand archetypes. And this is, I promise you, just go and do it, and you will be so delighted. Tomorrow morning, you will wake up a different person. It'll be the start of your new life if you don't know what it is. So we have the link there, but if you're watching this and you don't see the link, Kaye, where do they go?
I'm at kayeputnam.com. The quiz is the top call to action at the top of my website. I think even if you search for brand archetype quiz, it shows up pretty high in the Google search results. So I'm not too hard to find, but the easiest way is just to head over to my website.
Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for joining us and watching this. I hope that you've learned something, and I hope that you're going to rush and do that brand archetype quiz. Kaye, thank you so much again for joining me. I was looking forward to it, and I'm so delighted that this happened. I hope that we can do a little bit more collaboration together. And I hope you have a fantastic evening in Naples tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining.
Irish evening.
I will indeed. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you later. Bye.